The trend has gone from more where we used to take care of our loved ones to now where, unfortunately, we're also stinking busy. I mean, it's just kind of a fact of life. We're all overscheduled. Kids have millions of activities. And so instead of bringing parents home and living together and kind of working together to help support them through old age, we're kind of housing them in warehouses. Then now you're starting to see wine, cigarettes, you know, that type of thing. And so to go out, you know. One of my girlfriends called it happy endings. And I'm like, oh, that's a great name. I would love it, you know. Kind of do as to how to address it. So maybe it's the Golden Girls concept. Maybe we build or buy a bunch of homes, adapt the homes, get a bunch of women. So that's their couple, and their daughter suggested building a house together, and basically they and their children live upstairs, and the parents who are getting elderly live on the main level, and then another child lives next door. And I thought, that's unusual, and they actually said that there was a growing number of people who were starting to think that way, and so I find that interesting that the trend has not been that way so far. So I do too, and frankly, the cost of living is increasing. You know, incomes are not adjusting accordingly with inflation. I'm not going to get into all the economics of it. Then now you're starting to see, back to the universal designs, because again, it's boring, but the fact is that it's very expensive and people don't have the money, people aren't saving, and so anything that we can do as a community to kind of come together and figure out creative solutions, again, that are not government reliant. It really has to be more community reliant and you know, relying on friends and family networks and that type of thing to figure out how to make aging successful in community long term. That's where the trend is going, and there's lots of things being done. But again, I still think from my perspective, too much is focused on government, and it really needs to get away from that. So
Katy, you've talked quite a bit. This is Tiffany. You've talked quite a bit about different living arrangements. Mm-hmm. You know, whether it's four women living together and or happy endings or whatever it may be. But what sorts of things are you seeing, for instance, on the residential side? Actual differences in the way that some changes that could be made to an existing home, or whether it's a new build. What exactly are those things that make aging in place possible?
You know, it's kind of a whole, from a construction standpoint, it's really kind of the basics, you know, making doorways wider, having accessible showers, having accessible entries, perhaps having stacked closets to where at one point an elevator or something of that nature could be put in, not having thresholds from going from one room to the other, having raised toilet seats, those types of small things. But it's also about access to resources.